What's up, everybody? It's that time again. It's the Best Flarking Podcast, episode 48, 2/28/2017. Today, we talk Nightwing. We talk even more about Matt fucking Reeves. We're talking about Deadpool. We're debuting two segments known as TV Talk and What If. And we're going to go into a little detail of how to effectively platinum Resident Evil 7, because your boy did it in 2 days. All of that and the Reeg Report. Wait, what is... Hold on. Is that a bird? Is that a plane? No, it's time to start the podcast.
And then there came a day like many others. The Best Flarking Podcast. Your nerd's eye view of TV, film, comics, and video games. With you, as always, your mother flarking hosts, Dunners and Reeg. Fellas, show them who they're flarking with.
All right, everybody. Here we are, episode 48. We're getting so close. 4 episodes away from hitting the year mark, or a year's worth of content, I guess, as far as episode numbers go, even though we've been doing this longer than a year.
Yeah, as far as the numbers go.
As far as the numbers are concerned. You know the drill. He's Reeg. I'm Dunners. Reeg, how are you, man? What's going on?
We are. I am still recovering from birthday shenanigans last night.
Yeah.
And
you did it.
I did. Which is, I'm so glad that we have a beercade here in the cities now. My first one I had visited while we were out in Chicago, which was super dope, and I was so envious of why we didn't have something like that at home. But it's pretty rad to grow up and be able to celebrate birthdays in your 30s at an arcade, drinking beer and playing old-ass video games.
Killer Instinct.
Dude, tabletop Pac-Man,
yeah, I'm saying
it's amazing. But no, other than that, I'm good. I got Horizon Zero Dawn waiting, just with bated breath, for me to grab that PS4 controller and get after it. So
nice, very nice.
Pardon my lapse of attention throughout this podcast, because that's where my mind is.
Excellent
right now.
Excellent start.
Yep. Hey guys, just putting it out there.
I'm checking out 2 minutes in because I'm looking at the cover art for Horizon Zero Dawn.
No,
yeah, man.
All is good though. How are you? What are you? What have you been doing?
It's just
fucking platinuming crazy games in crazy amounts of time. And
yeah, well, I mean, cause, I had basically just had become so good at Resident Evil 7. I was like, I'm just gonna borrow Reeg's PS4 one and just go to town and plow it and get a platinum on it. And so I did in like 2 days, and we'll talk more about that later. But what else? Oh,
dude, you had a fucking video that made some
rounds.
Man.
I took the tiny Trump still meme that was going around that everyone fell in love with, and since I'm a filmmaker and VFX artist, I was like, somebody should do that in motion. That would do a really big numbers on YouTube. And I was like, dude, you have a YouTube channel that does those exact things. What, are you stupid? Don't give this idea away. Do it yourself. So I did, and like Huffington Post picked it up, and The Guardian picked it up, and the New York Post, the New York Times, and then I made a second one, and the second one's done nowhere close to as good, because that's kind of just how it works when you do law of diminishing returns. But like my channel is slowly becoming like me ripping on the right and the alt-right, as opposed to like music videos and pure comedy. But it's fine, because I get to have never in my life have I been called a patriot and un-American trash so much in the same breath. Like somebody's like, you're doing God's work, and it's like, you're a godless savage is the next comment. I'm like, I am confused as to what.
Which am I?
Which one is it? Because now I'm like, you know what? If this is what's happening, I'm probably doing something right. But now, now that everyone knows it's me,
it's gonna be on the bag.
Yeah, I mean, truth be told, though, with some of that stuff, like some of these alt-right kiddos are so fucking bonkers, batshit crazy that I wouldn't put it past some of them to like try and find me, which is actually a relatively easy thing to do, considering I'm very easy to get a hold of because I am a business, you know. So it's like, so with that, it's like I've had a couple like really weird fleeting moments where it's like, man, like if what if one of these whack jobs comes to my home? Like I got my 2 kids and my wife.
That's a very scary and real thought. Yeah.
But then it's like, man, if one of them tries to get into my house, though, like
it's over.
they're going to be mauled to death.
It's all bad for that.
my
that
two
human.
my 2 75-pound dogs are just gonna go to town. But there are those moments where it's like, man, I should probably have a better weaponized system in the house other than, blunt objects used for bashing people. But I'm also, since I'm such a marshmallow crybaby liberal, I don't believe in guns.
Fucking snowflake.
But they're absolutely. But that's the weird part about like my upbringing too, though, is because my dad is like turbo Republican. So like I grew up like shooting guns, and I know all about them. But it's just not my thing. But it's one of those weird moments, though. You kind of consider it, where it's like, God, I do have a couple of people that I need to protect all the time, and if somebody tried to break in, I would end them. Which actually, we're going to diverge because I feel like we should talk about this because Reeg has been dying to talk about this. And this is a great segue into it because it's a movie that has a lot to do with parenthood. And we're going to do an impromptu addition to the sketch. We're talking Train to Busan. Full disclosure right out of the gate, by the end of the movie, I was openly weeping. Yep. Just straight up crying.
Goddamn right.
Just straight up crying.
Yep.
And then I showed my wife the end sequence, and I started crying again.
Yep.
So it's like,
so good.
But the thing is like, the reason that I believe that I cried at that part is not the storytelling, which is fantastic. It's a very good snakes on a train, but snakes are zombies type scenario. But the thing that got me was, and obviously we're going to talk more about the movie, but the spoiler alert, because we're going to talk about the end first, because it's the most impactful. When the main character, who's been trying to be a better father this whole train trip because he's an awful father.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
He's been protecting his daughter from zombies this whole time and trying to get back to her. Finally, at the last climax, of course, he gets bit. And, he kills the other big-time zombie who was just a perfect D-bag the whole movie. And as he's going through his, transformation, you hear, the daughter screaming, which is not the part that makes you cry. But, the part that's super...
starts, though.
Yeah. The part that's super sad is that he starts to smile and look off into the sunset, and you get to see what he's imagining, and he's imagining the day his daughter was born, and he's looking at her and touching her feet and stuff, and the reason that triggered and made me just start bawling is because I vividly remember not only Miles being born, because it's only 4 weeks ago,
right,
but I can explicitly remember delivering Flynn, because that's was part of our birth plan, was me pulling Flynn out the rest of the way once the doctor delivered the head, and holding him and looking at him and his hands and his feet and touching him for the the very first time. That's and being oh my God, it's a person. And looking at that and being whoa, yeah, man, that's this is probably one of the best representations of what it's like to be in charge of another life, in that one small encapsulated moment. And I was that's a beautiful thing, that a horror movie shouldn't be the one getting that moment right.
Yeah.
It's just that's insane that's exactly what that is. And it's just just tears going. And it was that's
total
it was
tears.
Great. But I like that to get away from pussy ass crybaby shit, because I'm
dude,
super.
It is. That's what it's for. I mean, I cried because I got daddy issues.
Bro. Crying ain't all right. Having feelings ain't okay, bro. You check that shit. You bury it deep. No time to have heart in this world.
No emotions. Black heart.
This is Trump's America. There's no time for having feelings, unless the feeling is greed.
Pretty much.
But I like the zombie transformations being really fast, and I like kind of the Resident Evil Dawn of the Dead remake style zombies, not the super ripped apart zombies, just kind of like crystal blue eyes. I also really loved the goat right in the very beginning after he just gets blasted by that car, and then just
the deer that gets up.
Oh yeah, and then kind of like reorgs and just kind of runs off. I was like, all right, very cool, very cool. Just a lot of like neat sequences. Like it has like a very Warriors vibe to it because you have like different groups of people on this train in the beginning, and then they kind of band together, and watching the whole baseball team get fucking mauled.
Oh my god, yeah, man. Or that again, very touching. Getting back to that human emotion of it, where that one kid from the baseball team is still around, and like, can you imagine? I mean, yeah, I know they're zombies; they're trying to fucking eat you, but it's still your friends, like the people you see all the time, have emotional ties to, and you got to take a baseball bat to their head.
I definitely could empathize with how that might make you feel in the beginning, but I will say this right now: if it comes down to a zombie apocalypse and any of you guys get zombied out, I will end you with the quickness. It will. They'll be like, man, I'm really sorry this happened to you, and then your brain's getting exploded, and then I'll have to internalize that later. That'll be a whole bag of issues down the road. But like, I get those are my best friends. We've been on a team together. We've been on this trip. This has been an amazing trip. And then they're monsters. But like, they're trying to eat me and make me one of them, and I ain't feeling that. Someone's getting a baseball bat straight through their head.
Yep.
But the dude I liked most was the guy with the crappy ringtones who just duct taped his wrists and started punching his way through the train.
He's the best.
That guy's awesome. And he even has an amazing father-wife moment where, like, he gets bit.
Oh, dude.
And he's hodoring, basically.
Yeah, totally.
And he just looks at his wife and he's like, "Our baby's name, remember?" And then just boom, then he just gets mauled by all the zombies, and it's just like, yep.
Because he couldn't. What was it? Something about he wouldn't come up with the name, or could not that he couldn't. He just was waiting for something, or whatever the hell it was. But he didn't have a name yet. And traditionally, I guess the father comes up with the name. Mm-hmm. And that was just awesome nod to like, hey, I'm putting it all out there right now so that you two can live. So why don't you go ahead and name that feller after me?
Yep. It was pretty dope. It's just like, that moment's great too, where he's like, "Hey, jerk, get out of here." And he like looks at him, and then he looks down and he sees his hand has the huge bite mark in it, and he's like, "I got this. Get out of here." Dude. And it's just like, it's one of those moments where it's like, it happens in almost all of the, like, when you have your big like ensemble cast horror films or even ensemble action films where it's like, wow, I really like that guy, and it's like, well, they're too hurt beyond capacity to continue along with the rest of the group. They're gonna go, but they're gonna go out with like a gangster ass move to save everybody. But yeah, overall it was pretty lovely, and I liked the part when they're first running through the train and the zombies are like flopping over each other and basically become like a giant wall of death behind. Yeah. And there's like zombies like flopping everywhere, and you just see them like rise up in this like anime style dust cloud of body parts, just limbs and teeth. Like a tornado of zombie-filled death.
That's an accurate description.
And that's a potential title right there. Tornado of zombie death. A whirlwind of teeth and fists. But yeah, so like that's and this is a movie that Reed just wanted me to watch for weeks, and I just haven't gotten around to it. But I did it. Yeah, and I enjoyed it, and
it's so good. I couldn't believe it. I mean, for a zombie flick, like,
yeah, it was very, 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 very good, and
a Korean zombie flick at that.
Well, I mean, I'm personally not a big fan of K and J horror just because they tend to go the supernatural route, and I don't care for that style of ghost, but like The Host was fantastic, like stuff that's like monster-y. Or creature feature, I feel like Eastern horror does pretty well. I feel like they have a nice, interesting take on it. Plus, their culture is so different in its setup that's also kind of refreshing to see all that happen, because like you know all the beats for an American zombie movie. You know, like it's like all of those things.
Call it.
Yeah, like all of those things are just going to happen because that's just kind of like how we've gone everywhere you can really go with it. So it's kind of cool to see like the idea of like the magnetic high speed train. I was like, oh, cool, that's an awesome idea of them trying to get to like another city and then only to have the other city be fucked up too.
Yeah, the plan of how they were going to get out of this was well thought out. I didn't poke any holes in it at all. Never once was I skeptical like of any of it.
Yeah.
The way the lights go out, that's your time to move. Those zombies, those particular ones are only sensitive to, it appears, motion and sound.
And it seems like they have like the eyes aren't particularly blind, but they can't see without an illuminated background moving around to track vision. So it's like it seems like they probably are like blurred vision or whatever. But Train to Busan was the second best horror movie I saw this weekend.
Awesome. So yeah, go see it, you guys, if you get a chance.
And also go see Get Out because it's amazing. We're not going to talk about Get Out because Reed hasn't seen it, but go.
And it just came out.
Yeah, it did come out this weekend, and it's only going to enjoy 1 week at the top because obviously Logan's coming out next weekend and it's going to take the title from it. But fucking hats off,
sweet Logan.
Hats off to Jordan Peele for number one at the box office with a movie that's about race relations, basically, and like latent racism and like the stuff that happens in everyday interactions between white people and black people. Like, if you would have asked me if Get Out could make it to the number one at the box office, I would have told you absolutely not, but it did so with a vengeance, and that's awesome. That's super awesome. It is.
It's good to see because from what I noticed, it really wasn't that heavily marketed. I mean, it's not your traditional marketing scheme that gets tons of TV spots and 4 fucking trailers and,
I really liked Jordan Peele's personal GIF advertising spree that he went on all week. He basically posted a ton of just different GIFs of people throughout different forms of media saying "Get Out," and basically he posted the GIF and then put the word "Get Out" and then the date. And so like you have Elaine from Seinfeld being like "Get out" and shoving someone, and then they're like February 26th.
Excellent.
And like just tons of different ones. And I was like, that's awesome. That's a dope ass way to do it.
That's very creative of him.
Look at him go. Look at him utilizing new age media to work to his benefit. That sounded like very Barack Obama. Look at him leveraging new media to his benefit.
Yo, if I could do an Uncle Joe, I would have done it.
I miss Barack Obama so
we
much.
all do, man.
Like, where are you, Barack Obama? You lovely, lovely man.
Beautiful human.
Oh, boy. Moving right along. We're going to stick around in the DC world for a bit here. And out of nowhere, apparently a Nightwing movie is coming because people love Nightwing a ton. And I'm going to go, of the two of us, I'm probably the more DC versed. I like Robin a lot, and I like Dick Grayson, but I don't care for Nightwing as a character. I just found like when Dick Grayson is Nightwing, he's just like a kind of a cunty dick, like as a character. Like he's like Batman if you took away the like brooding nature and just kind of made him a jerk, which is weird because later on Dick Grayson, when he becomes Batman, is like this awesome, optimistic icon, but it's also after he's been Nightwing for like 15 years. So I don't know, but like people fucking love Teen Titans. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
People fucking love Teen Titans, and Dick Grayson being the leader of the Titans and going from Robin to Nightwing in that transition, I think a lot of people have an attachment to that. If you like Nightwing, this is seriously like in the Facebook group. I need to know what you guys love about Nightwing because, like, for me, he's so forgettable. Like, everything about him, he's just like, he's got a couple of sticks and like a black and blue costume, and he's like a Batman, also Batman. So I don't know. What do you think about this Nightwing situation?
Little to no opinion.
Little
honestly.
to none.
It's I just don't know. Is it even in the DCCU? Is it supposed to be? What is this?
I mean, obviously, it's going to have to be considered DCCU stuff because that's the
Right.
only way they do it. But
So
like,
knowing or thinking in that vein, I'm a little frustrated and upset at it because we've already got Dick Grayson, and that was JGL in Nolan's Batverse,
right? Well, I mean,
which was never followed up on. So
the thing is like, I get
I
what
just
they're
don't like the shoehorning of characters.
sure. Oh no one does.
I-
No one does, and nobody shoehorns characters better than DC right now.
Right.
But like I get where they're going with it, and you could smell it too. Where it's like we're going with an older Batman. He's been Batman for like 15, 20 years. Like, oh, so he's already raised a couple of Robins then. So like in my mind, if Dick Grayson's full-time Nightwing and Jason Todd is dead Robin, and there is no Robin, then that means that Damian hasn't been born yet, or Red Robin just hasn't come around yet either. So it just kind of is a weird spot yet of trying to figure out which Robin is where, because I would totally be okay with, Nightwing and Red Robin showing up in a Batman movie and then having those two sons of Batman featured in their very different movies because they're very different characters. Red Robin and Nightwing play like totally different, which is super weird for me because I fucking love Red Robin, but I don't particularly care for Nightwing.
That is weird.
So it's like, it's just kind of odd. But I mean, the thing is like, I really, really loved the Dick Grayson Batman. Like, I was so bummed when they were like, yeah, we're bringing Bruce Wayne back. He got punched through time by Darkseid. I'm like, God damn it, don't. Just let him be gone for a while. And it's like, we got a year, we got like the Dick Grayson Batman and Damian Wayne Robin for a year. And it was like, oh, it was so good. But what niche does this serve in the DCCU? Because like when you look at the Marvel movies, which we'll just gush over again because that's what we do here, but like you look at their functionality, he's not one of the major players in the universe. He's a niche character. He's like an Ant-Man type guy, but Ant-Man also kind of ushered in the idea of multiple dimensions for the Marvel universe. I don't see Nightwing ushering in any of that stuff other than being a nice way to introduce Deathstroke, but they're going to put Deathstroke in the Batman movie because
now that you're talking about it like this, I would even say that it's more of akin to a Winter Soldier who was buddy with Cap, and that's how they brought him in, and left the story, left themselves enough of an opening to bring him back for Winter Soldier, obviously. Right. Mm-hmm. Which, to my point of shoehorning, like that's what I wish they'd be doing with these is introduce Dick Grayson first. Then you can go ahead and work on a Nightwing movie, and I'm gonna be all the more excited because I know him from a prior film.
Right. Well, and get your shit together because they filmed Dick Grayson being dead as part of Batman versus Superman. Remember? Because like Here Lies Dick Grayson, like the tombstone.
That's right.
They actually filmed him being dead, and then it's like, oh well, we better.
Was that in the movie?
No, it wasn't.
That's right. It was in a trailer.
Yeah, it's like they filmed it, and then they just didn't use it because it's just like it's a waste of a character that some people like. So it's just kind of. It just doesn't make.
So it's not canon to the DC. It very well could be,
Yeah, it could be any number of things, but like, it just. Who fucking knows anymore?
Yeah, it's a weird thing for us specifically to chat about because there's just the excitement already in the DCCU isn't there, and it seems like one of those one-offs where unless you are a big Nightwing fan, it's just another superhero movie. Like, oh, okay, so you're doing another one.
Yeah, exactly, and I get like wanting to milk the Bat family for all of its worth because there's tons.
Totally.
There's tons. Batgirl would be great. Batwoman would be awesome as a film too, like the Cassandra Cain Batwoman, rock and roll. But there's so many different like neat things you could do I feel like if you're going to do a Nightwing movie, I do feel like Tim Drake's Red Robin should be a big part of it. I really do. It's just kind of tough to like try and pull that off, though. So I don't know. I guess I could be open to a Nightwing movie. I just don't know what purpose it serves. I just don't like, especially considering like you got Gotham City Sirens on the horizon, like another DCCU movie, because this is feeling less and less like the DCCU and more like the Batman universe with the fact that other characters exist in it. Because Gotham City Sirens, Suicide Squad, Batman vs. Superman, friends. The Batman, outside of Wonder Woman, Superman, and Justice League, all 4 movies that exist on the docket that have been filmed and exist. I'm not counting The Flash or Aquaman yet, but 4 of the 7 are Batman related, because Suicide Squad are almost entirely Batman villains, with the exception of Boomerang and who gives a shit. And and Batman was like the focal point of Batman versus Superman, and supposedly that there is a couple of tie-in moments with Batman and Wonder Woman too. And I'm wondering if that doesn't tie into like Ben Affleck's kind of like, oh my god, why the fuck am I in everything? Why am I in all of these stories? Because you don't see Tony Stark showing up in all of the Marvel movies, and don't you guys even get started about the fact that he's in Spider-Man. That is an anomaly.
Right.
But man, I don't know. But seriously though, guys, chime in on the Facebook group. We'll start like a little topic and be like, Nightwing ? And then you guys let us know if you love him, because I know that there are plenty of people who just head over heels in love with that kendo stick wielding, basically no face mask wearing superhero. Like that's one of the most I know it's one of those.
He's right there with Green Lantern.
It's one of those. Actually, what? Like, kind of like, dude, it's a comic book. Shut up. But like, he's wearing like if I literally put something that's the size of a Snickers bar in front of my face, people know that that's still me. Like the people who know me as a person know that's me. Like, oh yeah, that's Adam right there. Like, it's just like Nightwing can't get away with that. I don't know, but more perplexing than the Nightwing movie, at least to me.
Not this again.
Oh yeah, we're doing it one more time.
Mother, we are following our rules because it is good news.
Matt Reeves is back in. We are following our rules, but man, oh man, I'm almost done with the Batman before it even gets here. But anyways, after walking away from the table, apparently the heads did cool.
They cooled.
And he came back and he did it. So Matt Reeves is now directing the Batman. Everyone rejoice. We've got another really good director there. And I got to tell you, I don't want to talk about any more of it.
Nope.
That's all I'm going to say about it, and we're moving right on to the next thing.
That's it.
This is actually disheartening news, though. The 3/4 of the...
Do you need a minute? Like,
what?
Do you need a minute to digest it before you talk about it?
I'm just trying to gather myself.
I feel it.
Well, it's one of those things where when you have a movie that's really, really good, and especially this is for you because it was your movie of the year. Deadpool was your film of the year. You as a fan, as somebody who follows this stuff on the internet, not just like your standard issue, I'm going to go see a movie on the weekend and maybe I'll just check what's at the box office and pick it out. But somebody who follows these characters and it's important to them, does this not shake your confidence when, one, the director is gone, and then the 2 guys who wrote it are gone, leaving only the star of the film, who has been super outspoken about what he wants done with the character, so much so that it kind of feels like the other guys are just getting pushed out for not wanting to just do what Ryan Reynolds wants to do. Because, obviously, you can always replace writers and a director. You can't recast Deadpool one movie out. So, I don't know. Like, for me, I love Ryan Reynolds, so I don't want to believe that he's pushing people out. But when you have the dudes crushing it in the writing, it's what is it, Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick? Is that the dudes who wrote Zombieland?
I'd have to check the.
So we'll get a correction on the names here if I'm wrong. But the dudes who wrote Zombieland wrote a fantastic Deadpool film, and it was directed excellently by was it Schafer?
Tim Miller.
Tim Miller. Tim Schafer is double fine. By Tim Miller, and it just seems odd to be like, all right, you guys are out. And obviously the guy who directed John Wick is going to be fantastic in doing Deadpool 2. And if they get Russell Crowe to play Cable, that could be neat. But it is just...
The wiki says Rob Liefeld and...
Well, Rob Liefeld is the creator of Deadpool, the comic book.
Duh.
It just leaves a bad taste in my mouth, man. Like I don't like the dudes who, because obviously as a guy who's one of the people who are behind the scenes of stuff, when you just get cast aside when you make something great, is kind of shitty to do that to them. And I obviously don't know any of the circumstances, but when you see it from the outside, it doesn't look like it's one of those, oh, we just decided to go in a different direction kind of thing. Because when something makes money, they usually want to keep the team together, which is why, what was it, Marcus and McFeely from Marvel have been writing for the Russos since Winter Soldier, and are the ones who wrote Infinity War 1 and 2 and wrote Civil War. And, you know, when you have a winning formula, you don't break it in the movie industry because why? you know?
Right.
So
no, it's alarming. I don't know how back to what you were saying, you don't want to believe it's Reynolds pushing people out, obviously, but at the same time, it's very similar to the just to the vagueness that we've heard surrounding what we just talked about with the Batman movie, and Ben being very vocal about everything that he wants to do.
Right.
And how for the longest time nobody would really attach themselves to it, let alone did we have a script or anything. So we don't know what we don't know. But when you measure it, obviously, and look at the variables that were there and made a successful first movie, can you mimic that same recipe with new people? Probably not.
And, I mean, you can, but it's definitely harder than getting the people who did do the impossible, especially considering Fox banking on this movie failing so much so that they moved it to February.
Yeah.
So it's like they put it into a month where movies go to die, and then it crushed. So like it's a tough sell. I mean, obviously, I'm still going to go see it. I'll be there. But, like, I got a bad taste in my mouth right now about this until more stuff shakes out, because it definitely smells like some people are being pushed out. Because I mean, even Tim Miller's like, dude, I didn't want to make a $250 million spectacle Deadpool. Like, that wasn't the movie I made in the first place. Like when he got booted, like his response is like, I didn't want to do any of that shit that they said in the press release.
Sure.
So it's like, well, who's telling the truth here? Like, it feels like the guy who got booted would be the one who's more apt to tell what's really going down, but who knows? So I don't know. Let us know how you feel if, you feel like Deadpool is being shaken up too much, because when you change 75% of the team behind the scenes, it's usually going to feel pretty different. And the last thing I want to see is a X-Men Apocalypse Deadpool.
So they brought in, let's see. Yeah, Paul Wernick and Rhett Reese, yeah.
I nailed it.
Wrote the first Deadpool. Yeah, from an article I'm quickly skimming over on MovieWeb, it sounds like, given that there's no date and no timetable as of yet, it seems that the screenplay is to blame for it, and it doesn't say who the writers of that screenplay are, but that they're bringing in Drew Goddard to reshape it.
I mean, Drew Goddard's awesome,
Drew Goddard is awesome.
So, and he was also rumored to direct Deadpool 2. So before they went with Leitch for the chair. But
it's one of those where time will tell.
Yeah, we'll see. We will see.
Hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
All right. Moving along now, we're going to be doing kind of a new thing around here. Segments. Because you guys like the Reeg Report so much, we decided to find some more bits. We made some bits, you guys. We're like a real deal show now. It only took a year's worth of content. So this is a little segment we like to call TV Talk. And we're going to talk about two shows that we both watched, obviously. And one of them is the best new show on TV. And the other one...
God damn right it is.
And the other one is Legion. And not to say that Legion's bad, but it's no Riverdale.
No.
And everyone's everyone just like spits out their Mountain Dew.
Yes.
And they put down their Funyuns. They're like, what? What?
I know.
Did he say Riverdale from the CW is the best new show on TV? Yes, I did. And
I'm gonna co-sign it.
Yeah. And I said it to Reeg, and he was like, I'll check it out. And then after one episode, he's like, I stayed up all night watching all the episodes that were out.
It was so weird because like I rarely go to bed after like 1 these days. Like 1's the latest I'll usually stay up, and that's if I'm all energized and shit. But this show had me so fucking captivated. I looked over at the clock, it was 2 a.m. and I'm like, all right, I can get one more.
Better just press play and start the next one. I better just start it up. And like
it's so good.
It's far better than it has any right to be. And that's kind of like the neatest thing about it, because when you put it on paper, it's like, oh, it's a show about the kids from the Archie comics, and it's like, well, it is, but it isn't. Yes. It's like
in its most uninteresting description, a teen murder mystery set with Archie characters.
Yeah, and but the real description of the show is Twin Peaks with Archie characters.
Yes,
is what it is.
Yes.
Because it's bizarre and it's awesome, and as you know, a film guy, it's so incredibly shot, and it like the shots are all so surreal and dreamy. And the color palette they use is so good.
Oh, the colors are awesome.
It's just like it's saturated and awesome. And we get these great moments of like meeting Josie and the Pussycats. And like, and Robin Givens is Josie's mom. And like Luke Perry is Archie's dad.
Speak on it.
You know, it's like, dude, this show is like clearly aimed at people who've never ever heard of Robin Givens or Luke Perry. But then it's like, they're obviously, you've got, I mean, I'm assuming this show is a shipper's paradise, to be quite frank about it. And for, you know, all of you non-internet folks who for some reason listen to our podcast, shippers are people who get heavily invested in the relationships or pseudo-relationships between characters. And I felt like the episode 1 was like shipper's paradise. Is he going to choose Betty? Is he going to choose Veronica? Maybe he'll choose Jughead. But, you know, it's nuts. And the most nuts thing of all, and it took me 3 episodes to get there and to realize it, you know who Jughead Jones is, right? The kid who plays him?
I'm glad you asked, because I intended to ask you. I recognize this kid. What the hell do I know him from?
I'm going to say one line, and I'm assuming you're going to get it.
Okay.
My name is Frankenstein, and I can't take a bath without my Scuba Steve doll.
No shit.
It's the kid from Big Daddy. It's one of the It's one of the twins from Big Daddy, or The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody if you're a little younger. But yeah, all grown up.
Wow.
And he's Jughead Jones on Riverdale.
Wow.
So,
but no, I liked how it's even taking on like actual real, I don't want to say teen issues, but shit that they ain't doing in other shows. Yeah. Slut shaming.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
Yeah, the slut shaming episode, like the idea of like lesbian kisses haven't been taboo since the 90s. Where do you think you guys are? Just right. Like that was great. And it was also kind of like a nice tongue-in-cheek moment of like, you know, all of like the old like discussions, like even in like Chasing Amy and stuff like that, where it's like, well, which one will Archie choose? He wants to fuck them both. And like, you know, so like, well, you know, getting Betty and Veronica to do each other would be awesome. And they poke fun at that like right in the first episode. Also, like, taking characters who historically have been, like, ultra masculine, like, taking Moose Mason and making him gay is perfect.
Okay,
I mean,
I'm not super familiar with Archie characters, but that's pretty fucking tight.
Yeah, like, taking, like, ultra jockey Moose Mason and making him gay is great. So there's all of that good stuff. And then I haven't read much of Archie Afterlife, which is a very high, people love that comic, but apparently the stuff with like the zombie Jason Blossom showing up is very Archie Afterlife, which
okay,
like,
so a little nod to something.
Yeah, to the other series.
Tight.
And Greg Berlanti, aka the CW King, because he's the guy who brought Arrow, Supergirl, and The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow to TV.
Goodness.
Riverdale is his show, which also leads...
You'd think the guy kind of knows what he's doing.
Which also kind of leads me to believe, which is why Flash has suffered, because Flash has been kind of the best of the Berlanti shows until Riverdale, and Riverdale is quite a bit better than Flash and everything else that he's done. And it's just, man, oh man, is it good. Like, the drive-in episode is fantastic. The pilot is great. The one that just happened with the burying of Jason Blossom is great. The whole like Archie sleeping with a teacher thing with Miss with Miss Grundy
and how they just tease you.
Yeah, it's like,
is she not who you think she is?
Yeah, like
what's going on?
And they got that whole thing hanging out there now. It's so Twin Peaksy, and like if you like Twin Peaks, you will absolutely like Riverdale. I was worried when I saw the poster. I was like, oh god, here comes another fucking Vampire Diaries, the originals type bullshit. But like,
well, that's why I was so damn skeptical, man. Because I'm watching. Occasionally, I'll check, Flash, Arrow, Legends out on,
and occasionally
on the CWC,
and occasionally you'll watch an entire season of Supernatural. Don't lie, that's who you are, Reeg.
Oh yeah, that's the Netflix binge though. To my oh god, yes, will I ever Sam and Dean for life. Never will you ever watch a show and have songs like Wayward Son hit you, and immediately you just start, your brain goes into montages of supernatural past.
Yeah.
It's wild. But no, like CWC, they do the network promotions like every 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh my god,
usually it depends on what show you're watching. Oh god, it's terrible because it's the same damn one over and over and over, and it was forever the Archie one where they're walking in like ankle high water.
Yeah. And they're like,
and I'm just
and they're looking like listfully at the camera, like they're doing like the Too Many Cooks, where they turn and look at the camera at the last second before it cuts to someone else.
So that was my introduction to Riverdale, and I'm like, nope,
not in a million years, Riverdale. I'm never choosing you.
So when you said, yo, you need to check this thing out, you check that out, and I'll check your thing out. I was like, all right, I will watch it.
And admittedly, you were pretty confident that you're like, dude, you haven't even seen Legion yet. And I'm like, bro.
Yeah. No,
I was just like, bro, you haven't seen Riverdale.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like, I've been telling quite literally everyone that I like. I went and saw Get Out with a whole group of my old podcast, Horror Show Hot Dog. Fantastic dudes. If you love horror movie, listen to their podcast. Horror Show Hot Dog. Great name. Good guys. So we're all sitting around after the movie Get Out, and they're like, yeah, man, I've been watching a lot of these different shows, kind of, working my way through, like, the new fall pilots and stuff, and I'm watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it's okay, and Flash is kind of weak. I'm like, you know what show you guys all need to be watching? Like, well, I'm like, you need to be fucking watching Riverdale, man. It's so fucking good. And they all, like, laugh. I'm like, it's fucking Twin Peaks with Archie characters, and it's shot like it's a fucking Deakins film. I'm like, it's so good. Watch Riverdale. And they're like, all right, we'll check out Riverdale. I'm like, look, I don't try and steer anyone wrong. Riverdale is a show that everyone can enjoy. It's like, it's got a little bit, it's got a little bit of that like Buffy level teeniness to it, but like it's bearable. Like none of it feels overtly teeny. The only criticism I got from Mara from watching is like they all talk like they're adults. They definitely have that Joss Whedon.
Oh, they totally do.
That Joss Whedon, they're more adult than they should be. But man, like Archie is.
No, to that point of the teeny shit. Like in a way, I'm like, yo, am I? Like I'm sitting here watching it. Like, do I feel a certain way because of this? Is this like a guilty pleasure of mine? Do I like teen drama? What the fuck?
Oh, it's just a good show. And the funny thing is, like,
It
Mara
is. It
likes
truly
it.
is.
I like it. My mom like texted me. She was like, "New Riverdale on the night. You excited?" I'm like, I text her back. I'm like, I think we both know. I'm pretty excited about New Riverdale tonight.
That's wild.
And I'm trying to get my brother to watch. He's like, "Dude, I ain't gonna watch Riverdale." I'm like, "Dude, when you're on the Stairmaster at the gym at 5 a.m., fire up Riverdale,
Yep.
and you'll watch a whole bunch. You won't even do the rest of your workout. You'll just be there watching Riverdale."
I'll have to hit him up. Yo, Alex.
You need to watch Riverdale. You need to watch Riverdale. But yeah, like,
Get
I-
on it.
I seriously want you guys all to watch it because it's already been renewed, so it's going to get a season 2. But because CW doesn't have very high standards for what it takes to get renewed, a la Legends of Tomorrow.
Yo, you leave Legends alone.
Hey, I hear season 2 is good. Okay,
It's B-rated goodness.
let's be honest. Season 1, that show's getting canceled at other networks.
Oh God, yes. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So-
You're not wrong.
so
You are not wrong.
I'm just putting it out there that at other networks, Legends of Tomorrow is getting the can after its first season. But yeah, man, really go out there and check out Riverdale. It's delightful. Like, character work is fantastic. There's excellent arcs for Archie. There's really great arcs for Veronica. Betty has a good arc. Jughead has a fantastic narrator kind of god character vibe to him.
He does.
This whole series, like, even the parents have nice arcs of like trying to figure out what their kids are into, which is kind of
the parents are fucking scumbags.
which is kind of like, I mean, obviously the Coopers and the Blossoms are garbage. I'm more of like kind of attaching to Luke Perry because like it's like, man, like, is my son any good at this music stuff? Because like I want to support him, and it's like, man, I hope I
Go talk to the
it's like I
teach.
hope I'm gonna be that dad where it's like, look, I don't understand what you're
Right.
into, but I want to make sure that if it's what you want and it's gonna make you happy, I want you to do it. So it's like, it's one of those. It's not like. It's weird to, honestly, it's super weird to be on the other side of the fence where it's like I can identify more with the parents than the kids in the show. Because, you know,
Right.
I'm that old now where it's like, I'm closer to being like Luke Perry, you know, being the dad character than I am to being Archie Andrews. Because, like, man, in a couple years here, it'll be a full 18 years since I was 18. So, like, you know, it'll be a full lifetime. It'll literally be a lifetime ago that I was 18 years old. And, but, like, so it's kind of neat to see all that stuff. And on top of that, to see kind of when things change, they still kind of stay the same because you can still feel like the Buffy vibes and like the I don't feel good enough about myself kind of stuff that just kind of permeates through teen. Just like the angstiness of being a teenager because, you know, that's just kind of what being a teenager is. It sucks.
Yo, the return of Barb.
Yeah, right?
What?
Yeah, man. I was like, hey,
That was tight. That was tight.
Welcome to Riverdale, Barb.
But no, to that point of because she had very much like it had to be a nod to Barb because she dressed damn near the same.
Well, I think they knew for a fact that actress would be perfect for that. Because I remember when they were talking about casting her in Riverdale, that they were like, oh yeah, we loved her as Barb. I mean, who didn't love her as Barb?
Okay. So it was planned before,
Right? Yeah.
I was thinking like just because the tones had matched up of what's like happening, and then
Because I think they
like, needed
I think
somebody
they started
in.
shooting Riverdale like about a month and a half or so after Stranger Things showed up. So
okay.
that time.
But no, like so the time was a hard thing to pin for me of when this was taking place.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the fashion is very different.
Yeah, that really kind of makes like adds like the Twin Peaks feel of it because like it's very the characters exist in a very 50s style still.
Yeah. The diner's still there. They go to get their milkshakes and
Yeah, and I mean, you know, they all have, you know, it's all the future. So like there's all, you know, smartphones and laptops.
Yeah,
and,
for the most part, I think that's what they do a good job of though, is not putting it too far into the future. Like
Yeah.
it could even be like almost alternate universe type shit. Like like where there were certain technological advancements in areas and not so much in others, and whatever you want to think of, but
Right.
definitely interesting.
But yeah, it's really, really quite neat. Like it's hard for me to pin it down. Like I really want to go back and just start over and watch the first 5 all over again because of how much I really do enjoy it. And then to get like creepy and superficial, Be Still My Beating Heart, man. Veronica's so beautiful.
Oh, don't get me started, bro. Don't get me started.
And it just makes you feel kind of gross and old because it's like, man.
It does, but then I remember I'm like, yeah, the character is the
right. That actress has got to be like in her 20s.
She's not. It's the character. So like, chill out. It's okay. Who
and it's
you're
also
looking
like
at is.
It's also nice because like Veronica, like the body types, like the girls are beautiful. But, like, none of them have, like, that, like, Shannon Elizabeth, American Pie, like, fake breasts, athletic trainer body. Like, a lot of them, like, are like, oh, yeah, those are really beautiful young women who are just kind of, like, how they are in real life, you know? Like, so that's kind of, like, kind of neat. Kind of neat.
Yeah, Archie's the one, I think, more objectified than anybody on the show.
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, you gotta get that kid's shirt off. With abs like that, you gotta get that kid's shirt off.
Archie can get it.
Because like, when I saw it, I was like, that very first time, I was like, this is like in Thor when Thor takes his shirt off in the first Thor. This one's for the ladies, and then I stopped and I go, you know what? The ladies deserve it. they deserve it with Game of Thrones and Westworld and everything being like,
100%.
All right, it's time for us to show our life model decoys being reprogrammed. All right, make sure it's a woman being programmed. Get her vagina and her boobs in the shot. I was like, all right, we're going to show a guy being reprogrammed. Only show the top of the crack of his ass. Do not show his dick. Dicks are gross. Don't show anything pleasing of a man. Because that TV, it's a boys' club. Dicks are not okay. Unless it's Game of Thrones. Then you can see, like, floppy, gross dicks. you never.
Or if you're playing Conan.
Yeah, or if you're playing Conan, then you can make mega dicks. Mega dicks, rated PG-13.
Megalodick.
Megalodick versus Titanoboa dick.
Oh.
A sci-fi original about 2 synthetic super dicks that have gained sentience and fight each other.
Here's the idea factory at work.
Sci-fi's like, did you hear that? This guy said that you could make a movie with 2 dicks coming to life and fighting each other.
They felt it. There's somebody in a boardroom right now. Some writer sitting at his desk right now just went, did you feel that?
Like Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars. Yep. Millions of voices cried out, then silence. One man was talking about a movie about dicks fighting each other.
Synthetic dicks.
Then nothing. Oh, but yeah. So glowing praise for Riverdale. And that brings us to the other part of TV talk, and
I'm loving Legion.
I don't dislike Legion. I want to put that out there right now. I don't dislike Legion. I'm skeptical of it, and I have problems with it. But I have problems with a lot of things I like. So
this is true.
That's to be expected.
So the one thing that you had mentioned to me, which was very accurate for the first episode, being the vomiting of ideas.
I feel like it's accurate the whole show, but more so in the first episode.
Did that carry over into episode 2 and 3?
It does. It most certainly does, because the format of the show is built very much so on idea vomit. And for those who are unaware, Legion is a show about David Haller, who in the comics is the son of Professor Xavier and I believe Moira McTaggart. And he's a telepath and telekinetic, and he's like one of the most powerful mutants on the Earth. But
he's on mega level.
He also, for his whole life, had been treated that he has schizophrenia and DID. So he thinks he's crazy, and he's not. And so basically, the breakdown is that this is him in an alternate universe. No giant kid and play hair, though.
Oh, which was a bummer.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bummer, but at the same time, it makes sense to not have him have that.
It does. It's like Goku hair.
Yeah,
like how are you going to do that, seriously?
It's good that he doesn't. And much like Riverdale, this is a very well-shot show. Its color palette is fantastic. Also, like Riverdale, its use of music and ominous tone-based music is incredible. Like in Riverdale last week's episode with like the football sequence with the like the John Carpenter when he's like trying to play wide receiver better. I was like, dude, this is awesome. And obviously Legion does that too with like in the escape sequence in the first episode where like tanks are getting thrown and it's just like and they're like trying to get away and shit. And it's like there's a lot of good in Legion, but for me personally, and this is like idea vomit never really registers with me very well because when a show doesn't have to have rules, it doesn't have to have a coherent storyline or make any sense or have any real character development or anything like that. It just needs to keep doing things to keep propelling itself forward. And that stuff never resonates with me. And I feel like the thing that bothers me most about stuff like that is people mistakenly take that as like art house style stuff. They're like, it's so arty and so avant-garde. And it's like, well, it's actually just really lazy because it, you know, like Chris Nolan.
I may fall victim to that at times.
Like Chris Nolan has said, and so has like John Landis. Well, I mean, John Landis is more famous for saying it because he said it to his son, which is why I think Max, while being a giant dick, is a great writer. Have you ever heard that whole story? Because this will be another digression of the show. Max Landis, when he was little, John Landis is like, he's like, Dad, he's like, you know, you're making, you know, American Werewolf in London. That's really cool. Like, you know, did you find it hard to be like, well, how you kill a werewolf and stuff? And he's like, well, how do you kill a werewolf? He's like, well, silver bullets. He's like, no, you kill a werewolf however the fuck you want. You just make sure that you pick a rule system and then you live in the rule system that you build for yourself.
Yo.
And he's just like, that's basically what John Landis said to his kid. And that's the same thing that like Christopher Nolan says is that, you know, like the reason that your stories are compelling is you build a world and your characters have to live in the confines of that world. And if they don't have to obey their own rules, then their stories aren't compelling because our world is built on rules. You know, like there's just things that you can and cannot do, and that kind of governs how things work out. So
makes sense.
So like with something like Legion, there are no rules. Like he can do anything and go anywhere, and we can go to any point in time, in any memory, in a flashback, in a second, and then we're instantly connected back to the present by someone saying his name. And I really kind of want to personally download all the episodes and do a supercut of how many times they go, David, 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 because it's at least 100 times an episode. There's at least 2 or 3 minutes of runtime in these 45-minute episodes that are just saying the name David over and over again. And
is there a point? Just let me interject real quick on that. Is there a point though where it is applicable to the character?
Well, I mean, it's
and it's no longer not living within the rules, but it's very much just a byproduct of this character.
Well, I mean, the thing is, building a world with rules always exists. A character that transcends traditional physical rules is fine. Prime example, the Joker in The Dark Knight. The only way to live in a world is without rules, except for he follows a very explicit set of rules in his existence with the way he acts. Everything is counterculture and opposite and to cause chaos. Those are his rule systems, is that he has to do the thing that's opposite of what's stable. And that's who he is, and he follows it till the very end of the movie. And regardless of the fact that he says he doesn't live with rules, even David Haller functions under rules. It's just that the world doesn't play by those rules, because 1 second he's a really great telepath, the next second he's a cowering child, you know. And granted, he doesn't know how to control his powers, so that's kind of like the leeway you can give. But he doesn't really know what's going on from second to second, and he wavers back and forth on whether or not he's crazy, which is fine as an idea, but the way they execute it on the show is through a series of tedious flashbacks and sticking memories inside of memories, and they keep doing things and keep going like further and further and further away, and they keep pulling these kind of like bullshit circus maneuvers to explain something. And like each week it's like one bigger bullshit scenario than the next, where it's just like, we're rescuing you from this government agent. Like, said there were cops. No, they're a government agent who's killing any mutant who isn't what's going on. We're taking you to our facility. Okay, cool. Well, I'm the Dream Master. I'm the Memory Maker, and I can do anything in anyone's memories, except for your memory, because they're memories that have trapped their own memories, and your brain's alive. All right, well, we're going to do an episode where we're inside the brain that's alive. And like, just kidding. It's actually this, and it might even be the Shadow King inside of your brain. So, like, they keep like, it's like the, like a...
Is that who you're thinking that is?
I personally, because I don't think the show is good enough to do the Shadow King, I think what it is, I think that's just his subconscious that has sentience, much like how in his own DID brain in the comics, he has like what are the terrorist, him and Professor Y, the two evil ones, like the two super evil ones. I feel like that's either Professor Y or the terrorist in his brain.
You know who my first thought, and just given the way that it was shot in the first couple episodes, with so much skipping around, and almost like it was a TV show within a TV show. I thought it was Mojo.
You know, a lot of people thought it was Mojo, and it looks like Mojo. It really does. The reason I think it's Shadow King, or want to believe it's Shadow King, is he exists inside of memories, but he's not a part of the memory. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
You know?
Yeah, that's...
So it's like, when they have that moment where it's like they see him, and they can't make him stop, and he keeps like coming forward and doing stuff. It's like, holy shit, this could be the Shadow King, or it could just be his subconscious trying to drive them out of his brain. Like, you don't know, which is a great mystery. Like, there's lots of good in Legion, because I feel like I'm getting like shit heavy on it. But like the thing is like,
you're making valid points though. It's just discussing them at
it's just
length,
like,
so they sound that
it's
way.
just I have a very big problem with stuff where it just doesn't feel the need to establish its own base before it moves on to the next thing. Like this show is doing like a laundry list of things that infuriate me, and but I'm still watching it, so it's clearly transcending it.
To your point of it being that way, that's where I expressed a little bit of concern this week, because what I did not know is that it's only an 8-episode season.
That's really short, because
it's really short, and especially with the little amount of progress we're making through 3 episodes.
Yeah,
that concerns me for the next 5. As much as I am enjoying it, to wrap, like that means you're gonna have to wrap shit up faster, or you're gonna leave me with a huge cliffhanger.
Yeah,
and basically Game of Thrones me and hold me hostage until season 2.
I'm betting that we're going to have he gets trapped in his own brain, and whatever the yellow-eyed devil is takes over, and that's the end of season 1. That's my bet on it. But
there's just moments that are super dope.
Anytime Aubrey Plaza's on screen is a super dope moment.
Okay, yeah, she's great. But like the one in the most recent episode, and this is where I wanted to immediately hit you with the quote, but the episode and the way it builds up to this line of dialogue, you need what comes before it. As good as the dialogue is, you need everything prior to it in order for the payoff,
Right.
But when Legion transports them, the 3 of them, in and out, and he's like, no, and he breaks it down like, no, we are 3 solid objects of mass that you just transported through 3 or 4 walls, which are also solid.
Yeah, we were in the,
and he literally stops and just goes, what are you?
Yeah, we were in the memory room, and now we're not.
Just that line, like did that one hit you at all? Like when he just stopped, like super concerned. Like,
I mean, it's nice to see one mutant be frightened by another mutant's power.
Right.
Like it's super neat, especially when it's like somebody who all they can do is like recollect someone's dreams. I do like that guy who's the memory guy, because I liked his whole like, my dad had a terrible memory and I remember everything. And it's like, what do you mean? Like, I remember being inside my mom. Do you know how loud the human heart can be?
How loud?
And it's just like, that's incredible. That's pretty awesome. But my favorite line on the whole series thus far is I mean, you could, do some poetry style shit, to put your head right in there. Are you suggesting I should kill yourself? I'm not telling you what you should do with it. I'm just trying to trade a major appliance for some drugs, man.
Aubrey's so good. Did you know her part was originally written as a 50-year-old crackhead?
That's awesome.
Male, actually. An old male.
That's pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited about all of that.
Yeah.
Oh, my
so
God.
yeah, check out Legion if you're not. It's
I
dope. I like it as a standalone outside, as a good X-verse thing that is non-existent within any of the other X shit.
Dude, now that you've told me that she's supposed to be a 50-year-old crackhead man, I kind of wish they would have made her a 50-year-old man. Still had her play him, but make her him.
Just done the Eddie Murphy makeup.
Yep. Or like Big Mama's House with Martin or Medea. Any of those things.
There you go. Yeah.
Any of those things, that's super weird that there's got to be something about that, because that's all black comedians who they make dress up as old women. Like outside.
Did we just?
I mean, outside of like Robin Williams, I don't remember any white comedians doing that.
Ooh, doodaloo.
Ooh, Mrs. Doubtfire. Oh man, but yeah, watch both of those shows. But if you can only watch one, Riverdale's the one you should watch. In my personal,
and I'll even as much as I was vouching for Legion prior to Riverdale, definitely dethroned.
Yeah, it's the best show on TV, or new show on TV. I mean, obviously, Game of Thrones and Westworld paint a pretty hard picture to beat, but for network TV, it's hard to beat Riverdale. Good job, CW.
Yo, that's a Netflix original though, isn't it?
What is?
Riverdale, but it's not on Netflix. That shit kept popping up on the ones that I downloaded. It's in the credits at the very beginning, even.
Weird. Yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was a CW show
super
only.
Weird.
I have no idea.
I'll share the file with you, so I'm not.
So you're not David Haller crazy.
So I'm not. Yeah. And I might be.
Yeah. Oh boy. All right. Moving on to the next topic here. We're going to switch them around a little bit, so that way we can do this one quick, then hit the beautiful Reeg Report,
swap.
And then we'll finish off with our last segment. But quickly, Reeg wanted to talk about how in 2 days I decided to just topple Resident Evil 7 and platinum it, because I borrowed it from him, and I just got a platinum trophy super quick. But so basically, here's what I did, Reeg. I played one on easy, and I did the item box run on easy. So the very first one I did 3 item box only. Okay. Then I played it on easy again, not healing. So only healing 3 times. So after that, you've unlocked the majority of the items. The only item you really don't have after that is unlimited ammo. So then I played it on Madhouse, and you play through Madhouse, circular sawing your way to glory, and kind of just saving as much healing as you can, constantly headshotting with the saw, because you just mow everyone down, and running away from the majority of the enemies is really kind of what it is. And
so with the one of your item box or med kit runs was also the under 4 hours.
All of my runs were under 4 hours.
Okay.
Even my Madhouse was under 4 hours.
You are a madman.
So
you, sir.
It's just once you get to like the patterns, like how everything works, and especially on Madhouse, once you start saving all the ammo and building all this like really good ammo, you can just start kind of plowing through everything, and it's the circular saw really does make short work of the game. You just got to make sure you're using the aim and hold down, so you're constantly sawing at someone's head as opposed to swiping at them with the saw.
Right.
But yeah, so that's basically kind of it. You just, first run, try and do the item box. Second run, do the healing and constantly keep your eye on it. And remember that the steroids don't count as using a healing item, and they heal you all the way back up and boost your overall max health. So using the
does eating an herb?
Yes, it does. Eating an herb or using the liquid gels all over your skin.
The tussin?
Yeah, pouring it all over your hands. letting it get to the bone. Those all count, but steroids don't. So, because steroids should be legal, is basically.
And there are 3 steroids, correct? 2 or 3?
4 of them.
Ooh.
There's the one in the fireplace. Then there's the one in the birdcage. Then there's the one in the cabinet before the barn fight with Lucas. And then there's one under the bathtub before you make the E necrotoxin at the very end of the game. So there's 4 of them. Yeah, 4. And 4 should be as many as you need when you have the circular saw. Because basically no enemy should even be able to stand up to you with the circular saw. And there's
So after Madhouse...
After Madhouse, you're done.
Really?
Yep. And on your two easy runs, you do one with Zoe, one with Mia. You get your 2 endings taken care of there.
Sure. Yep.
And make sure you have a shotgun when you fight Marguerite, so you can shoot her out of the air when she dives at you. Because there's a lot of like miscellaneous achievements that I didn't grab, like the shoot Marguerite out of the air, the kill 2 enemies with 1 shot. I just fired a shotgun, or no, I used the circular saw and it cut a bunch of bugs up in 1 blast. And they're like, "Oh, killed 2 enemies with 1 shot." And you can plow right through. And one of the runs don't do the tapes. One of the runs do all of the tapes because there's an achievement for doing all the tapes and getting all the tape stuff done, like not being seen by Marguerite in Mia's tape, and obviously getting birthday done in under 5 minutes on the other one.
I still got to go back and do
so those are both really easy to do. And if not, you can always find a YouTube guide that'll just walk you right through it.
Right. Okay, one more question about detail. What specifies reading files? Is that every readable thing in the game?
It's a very specific set of story-driven actions on them. Like basically, it's ones you can pick up, and then when you interact with it, you can like press A and it looks further at it and flip it over. But like that is one you absolutely will want to do with a walkthrough. That and where all
because I've played it 3 times through and I still don't have that.
And where all the antique coins are on Madhouse, because there's 33 of them on Madhouse and they're all over the place.
Shit.
Also,
so Madhouse takes the most time. How the fuck did you do that on Madhouse under?
I'm a machine, baby.
I don't. Never.
I also make sure on Madhouse.
I don't want to.
Also on Madhouse, I make sure to get the attack coin like right away, so your attack damage is even higher. And I mean, get the defensive coin too if you want, and the Magnum. But like, the Magnum is the most superfluous item in the game. It doesn't even matter. You don't even need it. By the time you can if you got it early, it's great to finish off like a boss fight or 2. But like even the boss fights that you have don't really need it. Like the fight against Marguerite's probably the longest boss fight. Because Jack, he basically, every time you blow up an eye, he gets hurt. And if you kind of do it in a quick pattern, you can take him out.
And he's got nowhere to hide. Yeah. There's no cover.
Well, and the Marguerite's actually really easy to kill once you have Circular Saw. Because what you can do is you go up the stairs, don't go all the way up the stairs. When she bursts through the window, back up. And then you can just pop her like 6 times with the gun because she doesn't grab you. Then you turn around, run back into the main room by where the gate is that, is blocked. The gate that blocks you from exiting. Crouch there and look up at the ceiling, and she'll go, "I got you, boy!" And she's in the lower right, and she'll instantly pop out, and you can just finish her. Yeah, it's she has a glitch for how you can just take her out. And if you have the circular saw, she just jumps out and you're just like, dead. See ya. See you later. But yeah,
sawing up that's
pretty much how you get to platinum. I kind of wanted to buy the DLC just so I can get all of them. But I'm not going to have it I'm not going to have your game when Not a Hero comes out. And Capcom has said that is Chris Redfield. Now, a bunch of people on Twitter were like, No. Yes, they did. They said Chris Redfield returns. And then a bunch of people were like, that's misleading. That's not him. That can't be him.
Yep, I have the tweet
it's like
right
Chris
here.
Redfield.
Because it's in the Reeg Report this week.
Chris Redfield returns. Yeah.
God damn it.
They've said that's him. So now whether or not they're lying is a totally different story. But now that you brought up the Reeg Report, it is a great time to get into that. The Reeg Report is a lovely little thing that Nick Regis does every week, where he goes out and he finds the little tidbits, the morsels. Like he's basically like he's hunting for pearls in a reef. He's down there digging them out, gets the knife in there, flips them open, and there's a pearl, and he puts them all in a basket, and he brings them to you. It's the Reeg Report, the internet pearl knowledge thing that Reeg does. Go.
4 items on the Reeg Report this week. It's a light week, and I've added a couple of notables even that are still things that I think are just worth mentioning, but I didn't really go into detail of grabbing quotes and extensive descriptions of what's going on there. So item number 1, and back to something we had talked about, I believe, on last week's podcast or the episode before that, and we will soon find out how Thor was made unworthy. This is referring to the comic books. And this is from Jamie Lovett over at comicbook.com. 3 years ago, Jason Aaron wrote a scene in Original Sin in which Nick Fury whispered something into Thor's ear that made the Odin son unworthy, and therefore incapable of lifting his mighty hammer Mjolnir. It has been a long wait, but fans are finally going to learn the words Fury spoke that undid the God of Thunder. Marvel Comics has confirmed to comicbook.com that Nick Fury's whispered words will be revealed in the 5th and final issue of Jason Aaron and Olivier Coipel's Unworthy Thor limited series. In a quote, Aaron said, "I always said we'd eventually find out just exactly what Nick Fury whispered to Thor Odinson that made him unworthy. The words have been scribbled in my trusty Thor notebook for years now. Words that speak to the overall story I've been telling with this character going back to Thor, God of Thunder, #1. The next phase of that story begins now," end quote. Then editor Will Moss added, quote, "I remember when Jason told me what it was that Nick Fury whispered. It just felt so satisfying. Like it's definitely a big curveball, but it feels so organic to Jason's overall larger story that Thor tells. It feels earned," end quote. So the revelation will come in an issue that already promises a showdown between Odinson and Thanos as the former God of Thunder attempts to lift Mjolnir of the Ultimate Marvel Universe. Unworthy Thor #5 goes on sale March 22nd. Ooh. Holy shit.
It's coming soon.
I am a big fan of Jason Aaron's work. If you have not read... So this is very akin to the movie where it was like, Thor's dope, but like, who really know he was that dope? This comic book, Jason Aaron's run on Thor is amazing. All the way from, like he had said, Thor, God of Thunder, through what he's doing with the Mighty Thor, Jane Foster Thor, and now into Unworthy Thor. So he's doing some awesome shit, and I cannot wait to read what those words were. Item number 2, and what we were just talking about. Gamers will be able to play as Chris Redfield in Resident Evil 7's Not a Hero DLC coming this spring, which is free DLC. Capcom teased in a tweet containing images of Chris Redfield's character. Quote, "Who or what is he chasing? Find out soon in this separate story."
Ooh, that sounds pretty sweet.
So, yeah, I mean, free DLC is sweet either way, but as we've said, like, whatever is going on with him in that universe is going to be the thing that I'm interested in. Like, why? It's been how many years? Why is Chris back?
Why is he back now?
Item number 3, and this is a doozy. They zagged when I thought they were gonna zig, and is there another Marvel character in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2? Because according to Amazon's new storefront of the movie's merchandise broken down by each of the main heroes in the movie, for some strange reason, the obscure Marvel superhero Darkhawk has shown up, which is super bizarre.
And Darkhawk is
he's an old Guardian.
And they just made a Marvel Legends toy line of him, too.
True. So I did get into that here. So this is from James Whitbrook over at the Morning Spoilers on IO9. And James goes on to say, "Now hear us out. especially as merchandise lines are notoriously unreliable when it comes to discerning information about a movie. But it's kind of bizarre that Darkhawk, a relatively obscure Marvel hero who's flitted about across the Marvel cosmic over the years, would get such a prominent place in this banner. Especially instead of someone like, say, Nebula, a character we know is in the movie. As a member of the Guardians, it's even stranger that we know only Darkhawk merchandise is coming out, or the only merchandise of Darkhawk that is coming out is actually a single figure in a new wave of Hasbro Marvel Legend figures that tie into the movie. Although that toy is explicitly based on the comic book version of the character, why would Darkhawk need his own section of merchandise for just one figure, and why just him and not any other comic characters in that wave like Nova or Angela? So the other tricky piece that James had also pointed out here, and I completely forgot about, is that, quote, almost a year ago today, James Gunn had teased that his favorite Marvel superhero was in Guardians 2. At the time, Mantis had already been confirmed for the movie, so it probably wasn't her. Could that mystery character be Darkhawk? Probably not, but it's fun to wildly speculate every once in a while.
I'd be down to see Darkhawk in there. I don't really follow the characters. Obviously, he took like a 25-year disappearance. Right. But I was always thinking that him saying his favorite character, I always had it in my head that it was Beta Ray Bill was his favorite character. But I don't know why I feel like that. So
I don't know why James Gunn goes on to say something like that and then doesn't tell us who it is or what it is or anything.
So, it's...
Goddamn.
What are you doing, James? What are you doing?
Who knows if he'll even tell us after the movie.
And for him, it's just like, it's Taserface. Watch.
Oh, no. Please, no. Oh. All right. Last item number 4, and this is just news from today. Xbox Game Pass subscription service has been announced. This is from Tyler Fisher over at DualShockers. Today, Microsoft announced Xbox Game Pass, its new gaming subscription service that grants you unlimited access to over 100 Xbox One and backward-compatible Xbox 360 games at the price point of $9.99 per month. The service is scheduled to roll out sometime this spring. Since its announcement, further details about the service have surfaced. For starters, it's been revealed that the game discount for subscribers to Xbox Game Pass includes 20% on Xbox One games purchased. Let me get this. For starters, it has been revealed that the discounts for subscribers to Xbox Game Pass includes 20% on Xbox One game purchases and 10% on all related add-ons, such as season passes and DLC. The discounts only apply when the base game is currently in the catalog. So it sounds like you won't get that on new releases. And this is similar to where we talked about it before we started the cast here. The interesting part about this is going to be very much like Marvel's Unlimited thing that they do, where you pay, I think, like $5.99 a month, and you get a subscription service to their entire back catalog of comic books. But there's like a 4 to 6 month gap between the new stuff and then what's readily available. So it'll be interesting to see that gap of how new they're bringing games onto this thing, or how far from release before it's offered in this catalog.
Yeah, well, and I mean, it's like Spotify for games. You know?
Right. However, you will still need an Xbox Gold membership.
But I mean, when it comes down to it, $120 a year, the cost of 2 AAA titles for 100 games, it's pretty sweet deal. As two guys who like EA Access as well, I might be tempted to sign up for that.
Yeah, it sounds like an awesome thing, and I've been very vocal about it since music has gone this way, and we've seen the trend in video, basically of just subscription services in general, and where pre-ordering has begun to utterly fail gamers. I've been wondering when this type of subscription service would come around, where you don't have to drop $60 to find out if a game is shitty or not.
Exactly. And it's just like, I'm into it. Plus, like, there are so many good 360 games that are going to be on that list. So
Yeah, it's going to be pretty sweet. But that's the end of the real items. A couple of notables that I had on here. Because there's no real information surrounding this one. It's just pretty interesting. And I don't know if there's anything that got updated today on Overwatch. But Doomfist is looking more promising as the new character. Or something related to Doomfist.
But they said no Doomfist.
They did say no Doomfist, but all of a sudden on Noon, what's the map?
Numbani.
Numbani. The gauntlet is missing from the payload, and there are robots that look like they've been punched into a wall.
It could be. So
there's that. And then the other notable is that ABC's Marvel's Inhumans, that they'll be doing the theatrical release of the first 2 episodes for, and then the rest of the show has cast their Blackagar, I just fucked up his full name. Is it Blackagar Bolt?
It's Black, Bolt again,
Yeah. So they've got their Black Bolt. It's old boy from AMC's Hell on Wheels. I've never watched the show, so I have no reference for who this guy is or anything. Hopefully he can hold his own while not speaking.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He looks good.
Sure. Yeah.
So.
But that's it for the Reeg Report this week.
$10 for the streaming thing, just to play Mad Max alone is worth it. I love that Mad Max game.
You loved some Mad Max. When everybody hated Mad Max, you stood against
I whispered and said,
everyone.
No. I was the Rorschach for Mad Max the game. And the funny part is, it's gone on to do like huge numbers in the sales, and people are like, it's actually quite good. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty fucking great, actually.
Right.
It's not the best game, but it's like definitely pretty awesome. So, in your face, everyone else. I tried to quickly sneak in another item into the Reeg Report. This happened just now.
Wow.
Alien Covenant has a brand new trailer out, which we won't cover this week. We'll let it happen and get to it next week.
Right. If we were doing the video thing, we could do
watch it.
We could watch it.
Well, and I figured out a video solution for us because one day we're gonna move this thing to a whole video thing. Ryko, the people who make the 360 camera that I own, are making a live streaming 360 camera that they showed off this week at the MWC, like the Mobile World Conference. And it's in pre-order now, and you basically just hook it up to a computer, and it live streams your 360 to YouTube, and you can just do it in 360. And you can have all of us sitting around a table doing whatever it is that we need to do. So that's the thing that we'll be looking into for sure. But so we'll let you know about Alien Covenant next week, along with the Guardians trailer that comes out tonight. So basically, we're getting 2 trailers tonight that we're going to wait a week to tell you about. But that's okay. So the last thing we're going to do here is another brand new bit that we're going to bring to you every now and again, and we're calling it What If, based on the beautiful one-shot titles that Marvel likes to do called What If, i.e. What If Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four, i.e. What If the Hulk had Bruce Banner's brain, those kind of things. This week's What If for us is what if Batman were a Marvel character? So basically, instead of living in the DC universe, the world's greatest detective is now smack dab in the middle of the Marvelverse. Wayne Enterprises is up against Stark Industries for defense contracts and all sorts of things like that. He has to deal with Rand Enterprises as far as dealing with media conglomerates.
Other rich boys.
So there's all the other rich guys out there. He has to deal with Mark Spector and his rich ass.
And Parker Industries.
What is it, Sunspot? Also being super rich.
Oh yeah, and AIM.
Yeah, then
Avengers idea.
The thing I wanted to talk about is how do you think Batman fits into this Marvel universe? Because I feel like if he was in the Marvel universe, his place feels a bit different than it does in the DC universe. Because obviously he's a banner member of the DC universe, and we're going to have to treat it the same way here. So he still debuts early on as far as Marvel Comics goes. So instead of it being like Namor, it's like Batman is the first superhero that we get with no powers. My thoughts, my first thing that I went to is he founds the Avengers and not Steve Rogers.
I dig it.
Because Batman, being the world's greatest detective, often plans for all sorts of contingencies, and we're still going to have to keep who he is intact. This Batman, I'd like to believe, is more fallible because Batman's a lot better written when he can be beaten up and foiled. But I imagine this kind of some of the brunt or some of the load that Captain America has to shoulder would shift to Batman, as a character, because they kind of, not that they function in the same area, but they kind of are more of the human aspect of a superhero. I mean, I know Steve Rogers has powers and Bruce doesn't, but I feel like the way that they are used as storytelling tools, they tend to live in the same universe.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And thinking forward as Batman as the planner for any possible thing that could happen, I would think that would be the immediate thing that he does is realize, oh, fuck, I'm like one of two humans in this universe.
Him and Hawkeye are just like, dude, do you feel like you're outgunned at times like this? The thing that,
but no, he'd recognize it, and he'd put himself around a team of superheroes,
and he'd start figuring out contingencies like giant magnets for Wolverine, symbiote solution for how to beat Spider-Man's spider sense, all these amazing things from like emotion inhibitor bullets for the Hulk, like all sorts of like gases and stuff. It'd be really neat to see Batman kind of function in there. The weird thing would be that Gotham City wouldn't be Gotham City; it'd just be Chicago. And so it'd be like, oh, cool, he's like kind of like the Chicago superhero. But then it would also be kind of like strange because like one of the things that I had come to my mind was like, well, if we have Batman as a Marvel character, then so is all of his rogues. And I was like, man, can you imagine like one of the times where like Joker's like, I'm gonna do blah 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 blah, then you just hear like snicked and like stabbed through the sides of his head, and he's like, he's dead now. And Batman's like, you didn't have to kill him, and he's like, I don't have to kill a lot of people, bub. You got a problem with it? Do something.
So I wonder, given that Marvel has its universes sort of separated, we've got cosmic, we've got our main players, and we've got street level. Would he have gotten out of street level, or do you think he would have?
I feel like
would have been the guy in
I
street
feel like
level.
Batman would rule the street level crime the way Spider-Man does, but he would still be an A-list player, like he would like every major event he would transcend it and
like
yeah,
Spidey, very
he
much
would he would
Spidey,
basically pull a Spider-Man style role in stories, but with a dash of Captain America to him. I feel like it'd be super refreshing though, because Marvel doesn't really tend to have a gruff, depressing psycho like Batman. Because even Moon Knight isn't really,
True. That's what I was trying to think of first. Was like, okay, well, who is our Batman in Marvel?
Well, and pieces of him exist in other characters. Because I mean, everyone likes to say that Moon Knight is most like Batman because he's a rich dude who uses gadgets to really beat everything up. But it's like Moon Knight has fucking powers, though.
Yeah, not the new Moon Knight. Good, he ain't got shit except split personalities.
Well, dissociative identity disorder is what he has. Not split personalities.
Not split. But, okay, sorry. Let's be PC. Fuck.
But when people say that it's Moon Knight that he's most like, I'm like, I don't think that's true. I think he's most like Daredevil because emotionally they're very similar. And the people they fight are very similar, a lot of just murderers and mob bosses, and and they have kind of these. They struggle with: are they their persona or are they the person that they are when they're not wearing the mask? So I feel like Daredevil is more of Marvel's Batman, which also speaks to why Frank Miller's Batman stuff is so good and why Frank Miller's Daredevil stuff is so good, because those characters are very similar, even though Frank Miller's a piece of shit. Fuck you, Frank Miller. I mean, you can be a great writer and a piece of shit. They're not mutually exclusive. So it's just one of those things where that's just me hopping on a soapbox. But there are a lot of really intriguing fights that I'd like to see. I'd like to see Batman and Wolverine mix it up. I'd like to see Batman and Spider-Man mix it up. I'd like to see Batman and Cap mix it up again, and something that isn't like a crossover that has to do with fans calling in and voting. I'd like to see Batman step up against Thanos. You know, I know that's like, people are like, he just get fucking smoked, but it's like, he's Batman. Like, he's fought Darkseid and won. So, like, he's got to have some kind of contingency. That'd be crazy. Like, Batman, like, outsmarting Galactus, you know? Like, chopping it up with Reed Richards and Tony Stark, using the Bat computer, and, like, Tony Stark being like, this is your computer? And it's like, what do you got? It's like, my whole life's a computer. Like, you know? Or, like, Batman being like...
You think Stark would give him some dope-ass
I feel like
suit?
they would probably work together, like,
they'd probably collab
begrudgingly.
on something.
It'd be kind of like how Batman feels about Hal Jordan, is how he'd be like with Tony Stark. But then they'd become good friends as time went on. And the real question then is like, who would Batman side with in the Civil War? Oh, I'm betting he sides with Tony Stark.
Yo, that is fun to think about. Because it's split. I can see him going both ways. I can see him wanting to plan for everything and take care of it.
Could you just imagine like the panel where it's just like, Steve, stand down. I've got you beat. And it's like, your guys don't outnumber my guys. And out of nowhere, it's just like a batarang smashes into a brick wall.
Just a bat, yep.
Captain America, it's time for you to step down. I don't want to hurt you, Bruce. You won't. Just like the fight breaking out. There's so many like neat things you could do, and like imagine like the Scarecrow gassing the X-Men and like getting them all like jacked up in the brain with fear toxin and like what the mutants would go through.
Oh shit.
Or like fear toxin laced Terrigen mist, so you have like Inhumans emerging and they're all fucked up.
That's where I was just about to, that's where my brain was
like,
going.
There's so many cool things that could happen if Batman was a Marvel property.
God. Powers manifesting out of fear.
Yeah, dude, it'd be pretty incredible. Or like the Joker taking over a city and like Jokerizing a bunch of superheroes, like low level superheroes, or like Ant-Man fighting Clayface or things like that. Like, you know, speaking of all these different things that could happen with Batman properties, or like just having a Batman centric massive Marvel crossover event where like Arkham Escape, and you have to like get the Avengers to help track down all of these villains, like Namor fighting Killer Croc underwater type stuff, or like the Suicide Squad showing up in the Marvel universe and not being a joke,
or doing like a la Deadpool versus the Marvel universe. I'd be super down to see Batman versus the Marvel Universe, like how he would take on every single character.
Yeah, because it would be a Batman versus, because Deadpool's is what? Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, kills the Marvel Universe. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you're right, though, because Batman wouldn't kill, because he's Batman. That's right, Zach. No, he wouldn't kill anybody. He wouldn't kill anyone, because he's Batman. That's what he does. Not do.
Zach don't care. Zach don't give a fuck about you.
Zach don't give a fuck about you. But yeah, like there's so many neat things you could do and go with Batman just because of who he is, and like the storylines would change and like dynamics would change. Like Tony Stark would be a different person, and Steve Rogers would be a different person, and like Captain Marvel would be a different person. Like shit, even War Machine would be different.
Would they though? Like, because those tropes.
But I mean, but those tropes are reinforced by the characters that surround them, though.
Doc Strange, Danny Rand, Tony Stark.
Like I feel like all of those,
the same person.
I feel like those characters are different though, when involved in different characters and with different experiences throughout their whole history. And if Batman was a Marvel character throughout, we'd have a lot more different things happening. Like Iron Man might not even be an Avenger because you don't need him.
Yo.
You know? So like there could be all sorts of different things that happen that change like the whole scope. Like Iron Man could be a solo hero the whole time who just never learns to play with others. You know? Like
just taking his ball
and Danny Rand might learn to be more of a ninja from Batman because of how Batman leads the Defenders if he's also street level. Because I would imagine Batman being a leader in the Avengers and the Defenders because that's who he is. You know, so
so
I feel like there's like a lot of character arcs that change because the way we're setting this whole precedent up is that Batman is invented in the Marvel imprint, and he's been there this whole time. So it's not like Batman just magically shows up the way Angela showed up. Angela's just an Inhuman from the Spawn universe. It's not like that. We're going all the way back to the beginning. So Batman's been around for Secret Wars. He's been around for Original Sin? He's been around for the Secret Invasion.
Disassembled.
Yeah, he's been around for Disassembled. He's been around for the Thanos Imperative. He's been around for the Infinity War. He's been around for all of it. So I feel like we have all of these different. I mean, fuck, the Fantastic Four would feel different. Like Reed Richards would totally be a different person with Bruce constantly being. I would bet that the Baxter Building would be the Wayne Enterprises building in New York, and Reed Richards would just work for Batman. I would bet the Fantastic Four would be something that is like bankrolled by Batman. And Reed's developing stuff, and the Negative Zone would be where the Batcave is.
Yo.
And that he would just have a dimensional gateway to the Negative Zone whenever he needed to go in and get all Batmaned up.
Infinite space.
The mirror dimension houses the Batcave. And with all the magic stuff that Batman has to deal with, like Ra's al Ghul, like Doctor Strange would be different with the League of Shadows fucking around in the mystical world. I'm just saying that I feel like the Marvel Universe is a very different landscape with the addition of one character and their baggage that comes with them. And I feel like Batman changes all of that. And much more so than like if Superman just showed up, because it's like, oh, Darkseid and Zod, and like, yeah, sure, whatever, more aliens. But like Batman changes the complexities of everything because his villains are so varied and so awesome. Batman just has an amazing rogue gallery. So I don't know. To close out What If, we'll also put a little What If in the. We'll recap the topic when we go live tomorrow, so that way you can hop onto the Facebook group and let us know what your thoughts would be about if Batman were a Marvel character, and then we can all further discuss it because it'll probably be a fun thing to talk about for the week. And there's nothing more fun than nerding out about things that will never ever happen in a million years. But
what if it did?
I'm like, well, that's next week's What If, Reach. What if it did is the thing we're going to do next week. But yeah, so that's going to do it for the show this week. Highlights being, make sure you watch Riverdale. Just make sure you watch Riverdale. So, We'll see you guys next time. And thank you so much for listening with us. Tell people about it. Do God's work and help us grow. We appreciate you. We'll see you next week for episode 49. See ya.